Welcome back, Coinology. Imagine holding a small copper-colored coin between your fingers, a simple 1-cent piece dated 1996 with a tiny D mint mark, something most people would toss into a drawer without a second thought, yet behind that ordinary appearance lies a story that stretches across American history, minting technology, human error, collector obsession, and the almost unbelievable idea that a single penny could, under the rarest circumstances, be connected to values whispered in the tens of millions of dollars. This is not just a coin, it is a doorway into how money is made, how mistakes happen, how legends are born in the numismatic world, and why collectors around the globe still search rolls of cents hoping to find something extraordinary hiding in plain sight. The 1996 D. Lincoln cent was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the most important coin-producing facilities in the United States. The D. Mint mark, placed on the obverse below the date, tells us exactly where it was made. In 1996, the Denver Mint produced billions of pennies, and the vast majority of them are common, worth only face value. Yet collectors know that within massive mintages, small variations, errors, and anomalies can occur. These are the seeds from which legends grow. Every rare coin story begins with something ordinary, because rarity often hides among the most common issues of physically. The 1996 D 1-cent coin follows the modern Lincoln cent specifications that began in 1982. Its weight is approximately 2.5 grams, lighter than the older copper cents of previous decades. This change came when the United States Mint shifted from solid copper to a zinc core plated with a thin layer of copper. The diameter is about 19.05 millimeters, thin yet sturdy, designed to survive decades of circulation. The edge is plain, smooth, unlettered, and unreeded, another reminder that simplicity is part of the cent's identity. To the average person, these numbers mean nothing, but to a collector, weight alone can reveal secrets, because even a slight deviation can indicate an error or an unusual composition. The obverse design features Abraham Lincoln, facing right, his calm yet resolute expression familiar to generations. This portrait traces its origins back to 1909, when Victor David Brenner's design was first introduced to commemorate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Over time, the portrait has been modified, sharpened, and adjusted, but the spirit remains the same. On the 1996 D cent, you see the word Liberty to the left of Lincoln's profile, the date to the right, and the phrase "In God We Trust" arching above. Each of these elements has historical weight, reflecting American ideals, political history, and cultural values that evolved across the 20th century. Turn the coin over, and you find the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, a design introduced in 1959 to mark the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. The memorial's columns are finely engraved, and if you look closely, you can see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside the structure. Above the memorial appears the phrase "United States of America," while below it reads "E pluribus unum," Latin for "out of many, one." At the bottom, the denomination 1 cent is spelled out clearly. This reverse design remained in use until 2008, making the 1996 D cent part of a long and familiar era in American coinage. So why would anyone talk about massive values, even figures as wild as $85 million, in connection with a coin that seems so common? The answer lies not in the standard coin, but in the realm of extreme rarity, mint errors, transitional compositions, and hypothetical discoveries that would rewrite numismatic history. In the coin world, value is driven not by age alone, but by scarcity, demand, condition, and story. A normal 1996 D penny in circulated condition is worth 1 cent. Even in uncirculated condition, it might only be worth a few cents. But collectors do not search for normal coins, they search for the impossible point. One of the most important factors that can transform a penny into a legendary treasure is a mint error. Errors can include double dies, off-center strikes, wrong planchets, missing mint marks, or even coins struck on experimental metals. History has shown that pennies struck on the wrong metal can become some of the most valuable coins ever sold. The famous 1943 copper penny, accidentally struck on leftover bronze planchets during World War II, has sold for millions of dollars. That single example proves that under the right circumstances, a penny can transcend its humble denomination. Now imagine, purely as a theoretical scenario that fuels collector dreams, a 1996 D cent struck on a wrong planchet, perhaps a solid copper planchet instead of the standard copper-plated zinc, or even an experimental alloy never meant for circulation. If such a coin were authenticated, verified by experts, and proven unique, it would instantly become one of the most important modern U.S. coins ever discovered. Add pristine condition, perfect strike, and a clear, documented chain of custody, and the value could soar beyond normal expectations. In the rare coin market, unique pieces do not follow price guides, they create their own. Condition also plays a crucial role. Coins are graded on a scale that evaluates wear, luster, strike quality, and surface preservation. A 1996 D cent graded at the highest levels, with full original mint luster and no post-mint damage, is far more desirable than a circulated example. When combined with a dramatic error, condition multiplies value. Collectors compete fiercely for top-graded coins, because they represent the best surviving examples of a particular issue. The history of the year 1996 itself adds another layer of context. This was a period of technological advancement at the US Mint, with improved quality control and high-speed presses producing massive quantities of coins. Ironically, even with advanced technology, errors still slipped through. Human oversight, mechanical wear, and the sheer volume of production meant that anomalies could and did occur. Every error discovered today is a reminder that perfection is an ideal, not a guarantee. Stories of extraordinary values often begin as rumors within the collecting community. A coin dealer hears about a strange penny found in a bankroll. A collector posts images online showing unusual characteristics. Experts debate authenticity. Most claims are disproven, but occasionally, one survives scrutiny. Those rare successes feed the legend and keep the hunt alive. When people speak of astronomical figures like $85 million, they are often referring to hypothetical future auction results for a unique, historically significant coin that would capture global attention, not an everyday example pulled from pocket change. The market for rare coins is driven by psychology as much as metal. Wealthy collectors seek trophies, items that set them apart and secure their legacy within the hobby. Museums compete to display unique pieces. When demand from elite buyers converges on a single object, prices can reach levels that seem irrational to outsiders. In that context, the idea of a penny being associated with multi-million-dollar valuations becomes less absurd and more a reflection of human desire for uniqueness. It is also important to understand that claims of extreme value must always be approached with caution. Authentication by reputable grading services, metallurgical analysis, and expert consensus are essential. Without proof, a coin is just a curiosity. With proof, it can become a legend. The difference between 1 cent and millions lies entirely in verification and trust. Collectors who search for 1996 pennies today examine them under magnification, checking weight, thickness, color, and strike details. They listen to the sound the coin makes when dropped, compare it to known examples, and sometimes even conduct non-destructive tests. Most finds lead nowhere, but the process itself is part of the thrill. The dream is that one day, someone will uncover an anomaly so profound that it reshapes what we believe about modern coinage. As part one of this exploration comes to a pause, the 1996 1 cent coin stands as a symbol of possibility. It represents the idea that history, value, and mystery can exist even in the smallest objects. Whether worth 1 cent or connected to stories of unimaginable value, it reminds us that the world of coins is not just about money, but about discovery, patience, and the enduring human fascination with hidden treasure. As the story continues deeper into the world of the 1996 1 cent coin, the focus slowly shifts from what the coin is, to why people around the world keep chasing it with such intensity, why magnifying glasses hover over pennies late into the night, and why the smallest details can change everything. In numismatics, tiny differences separate the ordinary from the extraordinary, and the 1996 cent lives exactly at that crossroads between common circulation and legendary possibility. Point one of the first things serious collectors examine is weight, because weight never lies. The standard 1996 Lincoln cent should weigh around 2.5 grams due to its zinc core with a thin copper plating. However, if a coin weighs closer to 3.11 grams, alarm bells immediately ring in a collector's mind. That heavier weight would suggest a solid copper composition, something that should not officially exist for a 1996 penny. Even a fraction of a gram difference can trigger professional testing. Throughout coin history, weight discrepancies have uncovered some of the rarest known errors, turning what looked like spare change into museum-level artifacts. The metal composition itself carries an important story. By 1996, copper prices had long made solid copper cents impractical, leading the US Mint to adopt copper-plated zinc. This transition reduced costs but introduced new opportunities for error. Planchets could stick together, wrong blanks could be fed into presses, or leftover experimental materials could accidentally enter production. While extremely rare, these events are not impossible. When they happen, the coins produced often defy expectations and rewrite price guides overnight. Collectors also pay close attention to strike quality. A strong, sharp strike with full details indicates fresh dies and optimal pressure. Weak strikes can indicate worn dies or improper alignment. In rare cases, misaligned dies can create dramatic errors such as off-center strikes or broad strikes. If a 1996 penny were discovered with a severe off-center strike while still showing a full date and mint mark, its value would rise significantly. The more visually dramatic the error, the stronger the collector demand tends to be. Then there are doubled dies, one of the most famous and desirable error types in American coinage. Doubled dies occur when the coin die itself receives multiple impressions at slightly different angles during its creation. This results in visible doubling on letters, numbers, or design elements. On a 1996 cent, strong doubling on Liberty, In God We Trust, or the date would immediately attract expert attention. True doubled dies are distinct from machine doubling, and the difference can mean everything. A genuine doubled die can transform a penny into a 5-, 6-, or even 7-figure collectible depending on rarity and condition. Condition once again becomes critical here.
A dramatic error in poor condition may still be valuable, but the same error in near-perfect mint-state condition can multiply its value many times over.
Collectors chase the best examples because they represent the coin as it left the press, frozen in time. Luster, the way light dances across the surface, tells experts whether a coin has been cleaned, altered, or damaged. Original surfaces are sacred in numismatics. Market value is not a fixed number, it is a moving target shaped by auctions, private sales, and collector sentiment. When people speak of figures like $85 million, they are envisioning a perfect storm scenario, a unique or nearly unique 1996 D penny, authenticated beyond doubt, possessing a historically unprecedented error, preserved in exceptional condition, and offered at a time when elite collectors are competing aggressively. Such scenarios are rare, but history proves they are not impossible. The most valuable coins ever sold often surprised the market, redefining what collectors thought was achievable. Another element driving fascination is the idea of modern rarity. Many people assume only ancient or very old coins can be valuable, but modern coins can be just as rare if the circumstances are right. Billions of 1996 D pennies were made, yet rarity is not about how many were struck, it is about how many survive in a specific, unusual form. A single surviving error can outweigh a billion normal examples. The Lincoln cent series itself carries emotional and historical weight. Abraham Lincoln is one of the most revered figures in American history, and his presence on the cent connects everyday life to national identity. Collectors are drawn not just to metal, but to symbolism. Owning a rare Lincoln cent feels like holding a fragment of American heritage, a tangible link to the past and to the ideals Lincoln represented. Stories from collectors often fuel the obsession. Tales of people finding rare coins in pocket change, inherited jars, or old collections circulate endlessly. While many stories are exaggerated, a few are real, and those real stories keep hope alive. Every roll of pennies opened carries the possibility, however remote, of discovery. That hope is powerful, and it drives demand far beyond rational calculations. Professional grading services play a crucial role in transforming a coin from curiosity to investment. Once a coin is authenticated, graded, and sealed in a tamper-evident holder, it gains legitimacy. Buyers trust the grade, museums trust the attribution, and auction houses can confidently present it to the world. For a hypothetical ultra-rare 1996 D penny, certification would be the turning point that unlocks its true market potential. As collectors and investors look to the future, modern rarities gain increasing attention. Older classic rarities are often locked away in collections, but modern coins are still being discovered. This creates excitement because the story is still unfolding. The 1996 D cent exists within that living narrative, a coin still circulating, still being found, still capable of surprising the world. By the end of this part of the journey, it becomes clear that the 1996 D 1 cent coin is more than just a date and a mint mark. It is a canvas onto which collectors project dreams, knowledge, and ambition. Whether the ultimate treasure is ever found or not, the pursuit itself gives the coin meaning far beyond its face value, and the legend continues to grow, 1 cent at a time. As the exploration moves even further, the conversation around the 1996 D 1 cent coin begins to feel less like a discussion about small change and more like an investigation into human behavior, belief, patience, and the psychology of value. Coins themselves do not decide their worth, people do. Markets do. Stories do. And the 1996 D penny sits quietly at the center of a storm created by curiosity and imagination. When collectors talk about coins being worth big money, they are really talking about moments in time. A coin can exist for decades as nothing special, then suddenly be reclassified as extraordinary because of a new discovery, a new comparison, or a new piece of evidence. In the numismatic world, knowledge evolves. What was once overlooked can later become legendary. This is why even modern coins like the 1996 D cent are never fully dismissed by serious collectors. Microscopic analysis has become a powerful tool in modern numismatics. Under high magnification, details invisible to the naked eye come alive. Tool marks, dye polish lines, doubled impressions, and surface flow lines all tell a story. A genuine mint error has characteristics that cannot be faked easily. These microscopic signatures are like fingerprints, confirming that a coin was born different, not altered later. If a 1996 D penny were found with unmistakable mint-made anomalies confirmed at this level, it would instantly command global attention. Sound and feel are also surprisingly important. Experienced collectors can sometimes tell when a coin is different just by how it rings when dropped gently on a hard surface or how it feels between the fingers. Zinc cents have a duller sound compared to solid copper. That subtle difference has led to major discoveries in the past. Many legendary error coins were first suspected because something felt off. Instinct, backed by experience, often opens the door to discovery. The global market adds another layer of intensity. Rare American coins are not only pursued by collectors in the United States but also by investors and enthusiasts worldwide. Wealthy buyers in Asia, Europe, and the Middle East see rare U.S. coins as portable assets, historical artifacts, and symbols of prestige. When a coin captures international interest, competition escalates dramatically. In such an environment, prices can reach levels that seem unimaginable for such a small object. Auction history proves this phenomenon again and again. Coins that were once estimated at modest sums have exploded in value when two or more determined buyers refused to back down. Each bid becomes a statement, not just of wealth, but of desire. The moment a coin becomes a symbol of ultimate rarity, logic gives way to ambition.
This is how records are broken.
This is how myths are born. The idea of an $85 million valuation is not about everyday reality, it is about the outer limits of possibility. It represents a scenario where uniqueness, historical significance, flawless condition, and perfect timing converge. It assumes a coin so rare that it stands alone, a coin that challenges everything known about its year in mint.
In numismatics, such unicorns are rare, but they are not imaginary.
History has already produced a few. Education plays a critical role in separating fantasy from fact. Serious collectors study mint reports, production records, die varieties, and historical documents. They compare known examples, track provenance, and consult experts. This discipline ensures that when something truly extraordinary appears, it can be recognized. The 1996 penny, because it belongs to a well-documented modern era, would face intense scrutiny.
Only the strongest evidence could elevate it to legendary status. Another factor is survival rate. Coins struck in error are often caught and destroyed at the mint.
Others circulate briefly before being damaged or discarded. The fewer examples that survive, the greater the potential value. A single surviving example becomes priceless not because of metal, but because of scarcity. Rarity is not created by desire alone, it is enforced by numbers. Time also adds value. As years pass, untouched coins become harder to find in pristine condition. Zinc cents are especially vulnerable to corrosion if the copper plating is compromised. This means that high-grade survivors from the 1990s may actually be rarer in the future than people expect. Preservation becomes a silent filter, eliminating examples until only the best remain. Collectors often speak about the hunt as much as the prize. Searching through rolls, examining old collections, and learning the smallest details creates a sense of purpose.
Even if no treasure is found, the knowledge gained is its own reward.
The 1996 penny becomes a teacher, guiding collectors to understand minting processes, history, and market behavior. There is also a generational aspect. Younger collectors often begin with modern coins because they are accessible. A penny from 1996 feels relatable, close in time, yet still part of history. This emotional connection fuels demand and ensures that interest does not fade. As new collectors enter the hobby, modern coins gain fresh eyes and renewed scrutiny. By the time this part of the journey settles, one truth stands out clearly.
The 1996 1-cent coin is not important because it is rare today, but because it represents the endless possibility hidden within ordinary objects.
It reminds us that value is not always obvious, that history can still surprise us, and that sometimes the smallest coin carries the biggest dream.
The legend does not end here.
It only grows stronger with every passing year, every curious glance, and every hopeful search through a handful of change. As the story moves forward, the 1996 1-cent coin begins to feel less like an object and more like a symbol of patience, belief, and the silent power of time. Coins do not rush. They wait. They pass from hand to hand, from pocket to drawer, from jar to collection, quietly absorbing history while people around them remain unaware of what they might be holding. The 1996 penny has lived this quiet life for decades, and yet its potential story is far from finished. One of the most fascinating aspects of modern coins is how technology has changed discovery.
In earlier generations, collectors relied mainly on eyesight and experience.
Today, digital scales accurate to hundredths of a gram, high-resolution microscopes, spectrometers, and professional databases allow collectors to analyze coins with scientific precision.
A single abnormal reading can trigger a full investigation.
In the case of a 1996 cent, an unusual weight, unexpected magnetic behavior, or strange coloration could be the first clue that something extraordinary exists. The concept of transitional errors deserves special attention. These occur when a coin is struck using materials or designs intended for a different period. While 1996 is not officially known as a transition year for cent composition, the mint is constantly testing alloys, adjusting processes, and experimenting behind the scenes. History proves that experimental or leftover materials have occasionally slipped into circulation. If a 1996 penny were discovered struck on an experimental planchet, it would immediately become one of the most important modern mint errors ever found. Collectors also study die states, the gradual wear and damage that occur to coin dies over time. Early die states show crisp details and strong lines, while late die states reveal cracks, chips, and breaks. Some of the most dramatic and valuable error coins feature large die cracks or retained cuts, where part of the die breaks away and leaves a raised blob of metal on the coin. A dramatic die break on a 1996 cent, especially if unique or visually striking, could elevate its desirability far beyond normal expectations of provenance. The documented history of ownership is another powerful value driver. A coin with a clear story, such as being discovered in a sealed mint bag, an original bankroll, or an old collection untouched for decades, carries more credibility. If a legendary 1996 D penny were found in such circumstances, its story would strengthen its position in the market. Collectors value not just what a coin is, but where it has been. The emotional pull of the one that got away also shapes the market. Stories of people who unknowingly spent rare coins create a sense of urgency. Nobody wants to miss the next discovery. This fear of missing out keeps collectors vigilant and engaged. The 1996 D penny benefits from this psychology because it is still common enough to be found, yet old enough to feel historically grounded. Investment thinking has increasingly entered the coin world. High net worth individuals diversify portfolios with tangible assets, and rare coins fit that role perfectly. They are compact, durable, and historically proven stores of value. When investors enter the market, prices can escalate rapidly. A unique modern rarity, especially one that captures media attention, can become a financial phenomenon as well as a collectible. Media coverage itself is a multiplier. When a rare coin story breaks into mainstream news, interest explodes. People who have never cared about coins suddenly start checking their change. This surge of attention can permanently raise the profile of a particular issue. If a sensational 1996 D-cent discovery were announced, the ripple effects would be global, and demand for anything related to that date and mint would surge. The Lincoln Cents series has a unique advantage here because it is instantly recognizable. Even non-collectors know what a penny looks like. That familiarity makes the idea of a rare penny especially compelling. It challenges assumptions and sparks imagination. How could something so common be so valuable? That question alone keeps the story alive. A preservation remains the silent hero of value. Coins that avoid cleaning, scratching, or environmental damage stand apart from the rest. Zinc cents are particularly fragile once the copper plating is compromised, which means truly pristine survivors become rarer with each passing year. A high-grade 1996 D-cent decades from now may be far scarcer than anyone expects today. As this part draws to a close, the 1996 D1-cent coin stands as a quiet witness to all these forces: technology, psychology, history, and hope. It does not shout its importance. It waits. And in that waiting lies its power. The possibility remains, the hunt continues, and the legend grows deeper, driven by the simple idea that even the smallest coin can one day rewrite everything we think we know about value. As the journey continues, the 1996 D1-cent coin begins to exist in a space where logic and imagination blend, where statistics meet dreams, and where the ordinary world brushes up against the extraordinary. This is the stage where collectors stop asking only what is it and begin asking what could it become. In numismatics, that question fuels lifelong passion. Rarity is often misunderstood. Many assume rarity means something was produced in small numbers, but true rarity is about survival and recognition. Billions of 1996 D pennies were struck, yet how many exist today in flawless condition? How many were struck with a unique error, then survived circulation, corrosion, and neglect? The answer is usually far smaller than people expect. Time is ruthless, and it quietly eliminates examples until only the strongest remain. There is also the role of comparison. When a potentially rare coin is discovered, experts compare it to everything known. They ask whether anything similar has been documented, whether dies were shared with other mints, whether production logs hint at anomalies. If no comparable example exists, the coin moves into a different category altogether. Unique coins do not compete with others, they stand alone. And when something stands alone, price becomes whatever the strongest buyer is willing to pay. The idea of worth big money is deeply connected to human storytelling. Every legendary coin carries a narrative, a mistake made under pressure, a discovery by chance, a moment of disbelief when experts realize what they are seeing. These stories become part of the coin's value. A hypothetical ultra-rare 1996 D-cent would not just be sold as metal, it would be sold as history, mystery, and miracle combined. Educational institutions and museums add another layer. When a coin is so important that museums want to display it, its status changes. Institutional interest validates significance beyond private collecting. A modern penny displayed behind glass alongside historic artifacts would challenge perceptions and elevate its cultural importance. That kind of recognition can push values into previously unimagined territory. The digital age has also transformed how coins are discovered and valued. Images can be shared instantly, experts consulted across continents, and debates unfold in real time. While this makes deception harder, it also accelerates the spread of genuine discoveries. A single extraordinary 1996 D-cent could become famous overnight, its images analyzed by thousands, its story retold endlessly. Fame itself becomes a form of value. Collectors often speak about intuition, a feeling that a coin is special even before proof exists. While intuition alone is not enough, it often sparks investigation. Many great discoveries began with someone trusting that quiet inner voice and taking the time to look closer. In a hobby built on detail, curiosity is the most powerful tool. Economic cycles also influence the market.
During times of uncertainty, tangible assets often attract attention.
Rare coins, especially those with strong historical narratives, can see increased demand. A unique modern rarity would sit at the intersection of history and novelty, appealing to both traditional collectors and new investors. The Lincoln Cent's long uninterrupted run gives it a special place in American life. Generations have grown up using it, saving it, and overlooking it. That shared experience makes the idea of a rare penny emotionally powerful.
It feels personal. It feels possible.
And that emotional connection sustains interest year after year. At this stage of the story, the 1996 D penny is no longer just a date and mint mark. It has become a mirror reflecting what collectors value most: patience, knowledge, imagination, and hope. Whether the ultimate discovery ever occurs or not, the search itself enriches the hobby and keeps history alive in everyday objects. As Part 5 settles, one truth becomes clear. The value of the 1996 D 1-cent coin is not confined to price guides or metal content. Its real worth lies in the endless conversation it inspires, the curiosity it awakens, and the reminder it offers that sometimes, the greatest treasures are the ones we are still searching for. As the story deepens even further, the 1996 D 1-cent coin begins to feel like a quiet companion through time, witnessing changes in culture, economy, and technology while remaining almost exactly the same in the palm of a hand.
This contrast between stability and transformation is one of the reasons coins hold such power over human imagination.
They endure while everything else moves on. One of the most overlooked aspects of coin value is patience. Many of the most valuable coins known today were ignored or undervalued for decades. Their true importance was only recognized when knowledge caught up with reality.
A modern coin like the 1996 D-cent still exists within living memory, which means its full story may not yet be written.
The possibility of future discoveries keeps its narrative open-ended. Specialists often study patterns rather than individual coins. They analyze production runs, die shipments, and maintenance schedules. If something unusual occurred at the Denver Mint in 1996, it may not reveal itself through a single example, but through subtle patterns across multiple coins. Understanding these patterns requires years of research, collaboration, and comparison. This collective effort is what allows the hobby to advance. The human factor at the mint is another source of fascination.
Machines dominate modern coin production, but people still oversee the process. Decisions are made, shortcuts taken, mistakes overlooked. In high-volume environments, perfection is impossible. That small window of imperfection is where legendary coins are born.
The 1996 D penny, like all coins, passed through human hands at some point, and that alone leaves room for the unexpected. There is also the matter of trust. The rare coin market depends on credibility.
Buyers must trust grading services, auction houses, and expert opinions.
When trust is strong, prices rise. When trust is weak, even rare coins can struggle. A hypothetical world-class 1996 D-cent would need not only rarity, but unquestioned authentication to reach extraordinary valuations. Stories of rediscovery add depth to the legend.
Sometimes coins thought lost reappear decades later, changing market perceptions overnight.
A new discovery can force experts to revise what they believed was complete knowledge.
This dynamic nature makes numismatics feel alive rather than static. The book is never closed. Collectors often talk about stewardship rather than ownership. Truly important coins are seen as temporary responsibilities, held and preserved for future generations.
This mindset elevates the hobby beyond profit and turns it into cultural preservation. A legendary modern penny would not just belong to one person, it would belong to history. The idea of current market value is fluid.
Markets respond to news, sentiment, and scarcity.
A coin can be worth very little one year and dramatically more the next if new information emerges.
This volatility is part of the excitement.
It rewards those who stay informed and engaged. As more people enter the hobby through online platforms, knowledge spreads faster than ever before.
While this makes rare discoveries harder, it also ensures that genuine finds are recognized quickly.
The 1996 D penny exists in this transparent yet competitive environment, where every claim is tested and every discovery examined. By this point in the journey, the coin has become a metaphor for time itself.
Small, unassuming, yet capable of carrying enormous weight in meaning and value.
It reminds collectors that patience and curiosity are as important as money, and that sometimes the greatest rewards come not from certainty, but from the willingness to keep looking. As Part 6 comes to rest, the legend of the 1996 D 1-cent coin continues to unfold, shaped by research, belief, and the enduring hope that somewhere, perhaps already in someone's pocket, lies a coin that will one day change everything. As the narrative moves into an even deeper layer, the 1996 D 1-cent coin begins to represent something beyond numismatics itself. It becomes a lesson about how value is created, protected, and sometimes misunderstood. In a world driven by speed and digital transactions, a small physical coin reminds us that permanence still exists, that history can be touched, and that meaning often hides in the most modest places. One powerful force shaping the destiny of any potentially rare coin is skepticism.
In numismatics, doubt is not the enemy, it is the guardian. Extraordinary claims demand extraordinary proof.
Every legendary coin survives waves of disbelief before acceptance. This process, while slow and sometimes harsh, ensures that only genuine rarities endure. If a remarkable 1996 cent were ever presented, it would face intense examination, but surviving that scrutiny would only strengthen its status and value. Documentation is another quiet giant.
Photographs, test results, written reports, and expert opinions form the backbone of a coin's credibility.
The more complete the documentation, the stronger the market confidence. Coins without paperwork may still be rare, but they struggle to achieve their full potential. In contrast, a well-documented discovery becomes a benchmark for future research. There is also the role of community.
Numismatics thrives on shared knowledge.
Forums, clubs, conventions, and publications create spaces where ideas are challenged and refined.
While competition exists, collaboration often leads to breakthroughs.
The discovery of a truly extraordinary modern coin would likely involve many minds working together, each contributing a piece of the puzzle. Generational transfer adds emotional depth.
Coins often pass from parents to children, carrying stories along with them. A penny saved by one generation may become a treasure to the next.
This continuity gives coins a life beyond markets and auctions. A legendary 1996 cent would one day carry not just its own story, but the stories of those who protected it. The concept of hidden rarity remains central. Some coins are rare in obvious ways, others hide their secrets well.
Subtle errors, minor design variations, or microscopic differences can escape notice for years. This hidden nature keeps collectors vigilant and ensures that the hunt never truly ends. Economic imagination also plays a role.
When people hear figures like tens of millions of dollars, their perception shifts. Suddenly, the idea of checking pocket change feels worthwhile. While most searches yield nothing special, the act itself connects people to history and learning. The dream may be unlikely, but it is powerful. Museums and educational exhibits shape public understanding. When rare coins are displayed with context, they become teaching tools rather than just objects of desire. A modern penny displayed as a cultural artifact would challenge assumptions and inspire curiosity in future generations. As this part unfolds, the 1996 penny feels less like an object waiting to be found and more like an idea waiting to be understood. It represents curiosity rewarded, patience honored, and the belief that even in a mass-produced world, uniqueness can still exist. By the close of Part 7, one thing is certain.
The legend surrounding the 1996 1 cent coin is not just about money.
It is about how humans assign meaning, how stories endure, and how the smallest things can carry the largest dreams. As this long journey reaches its final moment, the 1996 1 cent coin rests quietly where it always has, unchanged in size, unchanged in appearance, yet transformed by understanding. After exploring weight, metal, design, errors, history, psychology, markets, technology, and human belief, one truth rises above everything else: the real power of this coin is not what it is made of, but what it represents. The 1996 penny is proof that value is not always obvious at first glance. It teaches that history does not only live in museums or ancient artifacts, but also in everyday objects that pass through millions of hands unnoticed. It reminds us that even in an age of machines, automation, and perfection, human systems still allow room for mystery. That small space for error, chance, and survival is where legends are born. The idea of extreme value, even numbers as vast as $85 million, is not about exaggeration alone.
It is about possibility.
It is about the rare moment when uniqueness, condition, documentation, timing, and desire collide. Whether or not such a moment ever arrives for a 1996 cent, the very fact that it could be imagined keeps collectors searching, learning, and preserving. And that pursuit has value of its own. Coins like this connect generations. A penny minted in 1996 can be held by a child decades later, still carrying the same portrait, the same words, the same quiet dignity.
Few objects in modern life can do that.
Money changes, technology changes, but the coin endures, patiently waiting to be understood. In the end, the greatest lesson of the 1996 1 cent coin is simple yet profound.
Never underestimate the ordinary. Never ignore the small.
Because sometimes, history hides in plain sight, and sometimes, the smallest coin carries the largest dream.